Hello, I am Stephanie Kilgast and I am a contemporary artist. In today's video, I am sharing the sped up process of the sculpture Connected. Connected is in line with my recent body of work that explores colorful natural growth onto tin cans. A bit like a colorful apocalypse. On this specific piece, I picked orange and blue as the two dominant colors and worked from there. These days I enjoy tin cans the most to work on for various reasons. There is of course a very practical one. It is my own trash, so that's really easy to get. And it's an easy way to upcycle and recycle. And I also really like the look of tin cans. They are simple in shape, they are kind of clean and shiny. They work well in various situations. And they have that certain raw beauty that I find works really well with the kind of maximalist approach of my sculptures. And of course, they also represent humanity at its industrial core. So they symbolize standardization, and they have been possible because of industrialization. Don't get me wrong, I think industrialization brought a lot of good things. To name just a few, we have the comfort of electricity everywhere, we have water in our homes, clean water on top of that. We have really good medicine nowadays. Things and goods that we use on a daily basis are really affordable. So all of these are really good, and I don't think consumption at its core is bad. However, I believe we went too far. And there has been a lot of excess in the production and consumption of ready-to-buy and sadly to throw away stuff, which resulted obviously in using way too many natural resources and created so much trash that we actually don't care to recycle or treat or do anything about it, and that keeps polluting and destroying natural habitats. So it's pretty bad, to be honest. And the worst in all of this is that we actually know how to recycle properly all the plastic that we produce, not all, but close enough, something like 99%. So we are able to recycle our own trash, but usually our governments don't really care too much about that, and they don't invest money in trash because, well, to be honest, I think it's just not sexy enough, and they think they might not be re-elected, so it comes all down to that, to power usually. And money, of course, because investing in plants that recycle properly, that costs a lot of money. And I also talked about this with my dad, and he said the other issue is, and that's an issue in Germany, is so we can recycle all kinds of plastic. The problem is there are very different types of plastic, PE 1, 2, 3, 5, and they are not recycled the same way. So what would be ideal is, as a user, so as a consumer, as a human, has someone who is making trash to properly recycle upfront. So instead of having just one trash for all plastic, to have like 4, 5 or 6 different ones, and that way just after it's a lot easier to recycle, because currently that's not happening, and so most of the plastic don't get recycled. And they usually just end up being burned and transformed into energy, which isn't ideal either, but at least it's not ending in a landfill, so I suppose that's something. There is a small town somewhere in Japan, I don't recall the name, who really recycles properly, and they have something like 20 or 30, I don't remember how many different trashes, but this is really the easiest way to go to recycle, because no one wants to recycle afterwards, so no one wants to go through trash, through billions of amount of trash, of plastic trash, and recycle it after. So it's a lot easier if we do it all at home already. Okay, so back to the tin cans. Obviously, so they represent all of that: industrialization, standardization, kind of how we live in our societies, and that's something I enjoy, because it's something that I think is worth criticizing, because it's far from perfect. And quite obviously, tin cans are trash, so they send back to the trash issue humans have created in a very direct way. So back to the sculpture. For this specific one, I did not want to have a clear shape like I sometimes do, and I wanted to really let it grow and take whatever shape it wanted. And I ended up creating island-like shapes all around the tin can that are connected in a sort of network. This is also why I named it Connected. It is of course very fitting for how the sculpture shaped itself, but it's also very symbolic of how nature functions and how it has a closed circle from birth to death. Our environment has created a subtle balance between all the beings that live in it, and each one is adapted to its surroundings, and each being has adapted also to the other beings that live in it, and each being tries to make the most of it. In such environments, biodiversity is usually very high, simply because that is the most durable way to sustain any kind of life. So when you remove just one being from an ecosystem, it can destroy not the whole systems, but part of it. And if you change the environment itself, even if it's just slightly, some living forms might completely die away. This is the case with corals, which are currently dying, and that happens because of a slight change of temperature in the water. What happens is that the corals expulse algae when the temperature rises, and that algae is normally living inside of them, which give them their lovely colors and also feeds them. And if the water temperature drops again, then they can easily recover, but after a certain period of time, it's irreversible. We call it bleaching, because when dying, they lose all the colors. Another example are planted forests. In the beginning of reforestation, humans would plant 1 or 2 species only, resulting in quite fragile forests that could go in the blink of a pest or drop of temperature or change of climate. It still is often the case that reforestation is done in this rather sloppy way of planting 100 trees of the same species in a row, because it's, well, easier, faster, and it saves money. However, for forests to be healthy, it is key to have a high variety of trees, as some will withstand certain climatic conditions better. And insects usually are highly specialized in what they eat, so if suddenly one insect population grows rapidly, it cannot do much harm to a truly biodiverse environment. But if it's the elm tree's beetle and the forest happens to have only elms, well, then the forest is going to die pretty quickly. All that to explain that beings and natures have found a balance among each other, so everyone can live happily ever after, and that balance has been stomped over by us. Really something to ponder about, I think. Anyway, we are reaching the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the sculpture, the eco-rambling and the video overall, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe, hit the notification button so you won't miss any new videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!